We're going to have a shift here into an issue that blew up again in the last couple of days on the back of that new case, COVID case in Victoria. Mounting calls again today for the Andrews government to fix its faltering QR code check-in system, as it was revealed dozens of people who dined with this COVID positive man in a restaurant in the CBD of Melbourne failed to check in. Now, you don't get away with it in any other state, but you do in Victoria. Mad scramble in and around the Curry Vault Indian restaurant in the CBD. Lots of Victorians are still waiting to know whether or not they are at risk. To discuss this and more, I'm joined here in Melbourne by the Shadow Minister for Finance, Liberal MP Matthew Guy. Please explain. Help me explain. We're 12 and a half months on from 18 months on from this pandemic. Everybody else has had a common standard, statewide, government-mandated QR code system. We were hit worse than anyone. We don't have anything like that. And even what we've got, it's not being enforced. Matt Guy, what's wrong?
Can you believe it, Peter? I mean, I don't think any Victorian would have believed that after the second wave we went through in this state, in which 800 people died because of a failure of state government policy, that 6-7 months after that, we'd still not have a proper operative QR code tracking system operating in Victoria. The last month I've been in South Australia and Queensland. One of those is a Liberal state, one of those is a Labor state. Both of those states have functioning, successful, well-operative QR codes, which I found at the airport. And the Queensland model, it was an app that stayed on my phone. The South Australian system, it logged on everywhere I went. It was magnificent. And yet Victoria still doesn't have an operative QR code system. All the investments that small business have made on QR codes are now going to be defunct. And the government's starting from scratch again. The system it put in place in its own parliament is going to be defunct, and they're going to start from scratch again. You know, we have been saying, the Liberals in Victoria have been saying for months, this should be the basic, this should be the absolute basic, get a QR code system in place. No wonder there was a second wave in Victoria.
And the bloke, of course, is supposedly running all of this, the new health minister, the guy that replaced Jenny Mikakos, Martin Foley. Well, he was out there attacking the Commonwealth, claiming that they had reduced hospital funding into Victoria, but he was promptly corrected by Greg Hunt, who said, no, in fact, your government, you yourself, asked for less money. Here was Martin Foley yesterday morning.
There has been a $93 million cut to Victoria's allocation from the National Health Reform Agreement, and it beggars belief that in the midst of a global pandemic where the issue of public health service demand was raised at the last National Cabinet, that the Commonwealth Government would use this as an opportunity to reduce services available to public hospitals like this one. It means less services, less nurses, less doctors and less support.
It's a shocker, man.
Martin Foley inspires confidence in no one. I mean, he just proves the point that best not make a fool of yourself and then go into public and prove it to everyone, because he just does, and he does every time in Parliament. And unfortunately, this is the guy who's in control of our QR code system. So you wonder, go back to the first question, why we don't have a functioning QR code system in a place that's home to nearly 7 million Australians. Well, that bumbling buffoon is the answer as to why we don't.
And look, just quickly, I've got to show you some footage put out by Victoria Police. I might be just getting old, but I don't know how this gets away, how young people get away with this. Here's a man pouring the accelerant on the seats of a train at the Laverton station, setting them alight, costing, hundreds and hundreds of dollars to repair, but this happens right across the state, so it's millions of dollars. Walks away. There he is on footage. People can tell who he is. Goodness me, Matt, what is going on in Victoria?
I have long said that Victoria, which has been flushed full of magistrates from the Bracks government, which had a view that society was at fault, not those people who were setting fire to trains or punching others up on the street, that those people, that when we change the judicial system to one that apologises for crime as opposed to puts those who break the law behind bars or penalises them, as should be the case, then we'll have these problems. And this is 20 years of Labor infiltrating our magistracy in Victoria with people who, frankly, don't want to punish individuals and offenders, and they want to blame everyone else but the offenders. You know, people said to me, you talked too much about law and order at the last election. No, we did not. No, I did not. It's an issue in Melbourne. It will remain an issue in Melbourne. It will continue to get worse in this state. It will continue to be more pronounced in this state than other states. The example you put forward is one of but many that is still happening in the city. And you've got a government that, frankly, is utterly disinterested.
Yeah, it starts with disrespect. It absolutely starts with disrespect for other people's property. Matthew, Guy, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Peter.